Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As of course it has already been said, my name is Aitken Ramudzuli. I'm vendor speaking. As it was said again, I work for a company called ITISA, which stands for Interdependence and Transformation in South Africa. We deal with a number of companies, perhaps to mention others beyond those which were mentioned. We deal with Marine Roberts, Lever Brothers, Nampec, Coke, C.G. Smith of the Sugar Plantations, Eskom, Telkom, British Airways, the Cape Town City Council, Johannesburg Metropolitan Chamber, the Durban City Council, and so forth and so forth. But without belaboring the point, perhaps one needs to mention that as I come in here last night, I looked around as the people were seated there, others trying their luck with that bull there. The first thing that struck me was that I'm seeing a group of people who look well-fed, well cared for, very much relaxed and happy about this world. That was the first thing that struck me. When Mark Alex took over the stage, they had to beg for people to come and jive. There were only few people there on the stage, of course, responding to the call, but very few were happy and seated there at the back, clapping hands once in a while. What struck me most was that I'm dealing with a serious group of people who are used to being in their offices, who are not used to being foot soldiers, always on the go, raring to go out and get business. They give instructions most of the time, and somewhere along the way they believe that there are foot soldiers who will have to do the spade work. This reminded me of South African business and business in general. South African business and business in general is mainly based on military grounds. Now in military, what you need is to tell, as a commander, is to say fire. And when you say fire, you expect people to jump from their trenches to their cannons and fire. You don't need any democracy there. You don't need people who will say, can we caucus over that decision? Or can we discuss that decision? You don't need that in military. You need, as I said, people who will jump from their trenches to the cannons and fire. And that is how managers see themselves in business. They have to give instructions from above. And some people should go to war like the Light Brigade. Theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do and die. That's what is expected. But if we have to look as to how the Japanese operate, if we have to look as to how the Koreans operate, how the Dragons of the East operate, we actually find that managers and foot soldiers are actually on par. They are restless until they achieve what they want. And as Nelson Mandela said, once you climb a mountain and reach the top, you come to realize that there are more mountains to climb. You don't become complacent and say, I've done it. Because right through your struggling life from the township, you've been battling to get a BMW 3 Series and a cellular phone. Now you've got that. Now the world has come to an end, you can relax. That is not how the Japanese work. That is not how other people work in other countries. The target of business is to create customers and keep them and continue creating customers. It would be useless to create customers and lose them the following year and battle to create other customers. Create customers, keep them, and continue creating customers. That is the trick. And if you fail to understand that point, 2 to 3 years from now, this company will be history. You'll be history. That is the target. But over and above that, we need to realize that South Africa has actually crossed the Rubicon, finally. The Groot Crocodile made it difficult that the country should cross the Rubicon. And finally, because of international pressure and pressure from inside, the country has crossed the Rubicon, but the mindship of a lot of people has remained in the old South Africa. Let's look at whites. South African whites have been taught and trained, and they came to believe that they are Europeans. Many of them have not been to Europe. Many of them will feel strangers when they go to Europe. I was in Paris the other day. I was in a queue in a shop, and I looked at all the people who were buying there. And the cashier kept on saying, merci, and they said, merci beaucoup, merci, merci beaucoup. When my turn came, I also said, merci beaucoup, and she said, merci. I survived. Any South African who was there, who could not speak French, would have felt a stranger. Any South African. Now, South African whites cannot be said to be Europeans. They are white Africans. And because they are white Africans, it becomes important for them to learn how Africa operates. This business is based in Africa. It is not based in England. It is not based in France. It is based in Africa. But how does Africa operate? So that we could have a better understanding of how the dynamics in Africa unfold themselves. Black managers have also become too complacent. They also see themselves as black Europeans. They have ascended the throne, and after ascending the throne, they pretend to be like their white colleagues. They become whiter than thou. Black managers. They put white people to shame with their whiteness. They are denying white people the opportunity of learning how Africa operates. South Africa has always been viewed as an outpost of Europe. And many people are satisfied with that we are an outpost of Europe, which means that on Christmas Day, we get our Christmas cards which have snow, and we say how beautiful. There is no snow in South Africa in December. There's no snow here. We battle to get snow in winter, let alone summer. You look at how Father Christmas dresses. He's dressed for Iceland. Very thick clothes, 30 degrees. Very hot. That man must be sweating inside those clothes. But because we think we are in Europe, we don't question that. It is snowing in Europe, not here. Perhaps we need to see our Father Christmas dressed in vests because it's hot here. So all in all, we need to understand how Africa operates for our business to survive. We need to learn from one another. We need to share experiences. We need to study about the successes of other people, the successes of our competitors, and the failures of our competitors, so that we don't make the same mistake. When the Zimbabweans got their independence, they said their independence is unique, which means that, in their understanding, they have a right to manage and to mismanage themselves, which is not true. We don't have a right to mismanage ourselves. Otherwise, posterity will point an accusing finger at us. As I said, we need to learn from one another. We need to learn from the knowledge which is brought forth by whites. We need to learn from the knowledge which is brought forth by blacks. We need to learn as to how the West operates and how Africa operates. Now, let us just come to one example and look at as to how the West operates in terms of justice. Sorry. Somebody steals your cow, and you go and report the person to the police. The police will go out and get the culprit, bring him to court, and he gets fined 5 years, and you go home and you say, justice has been done. Sorry, justice has been done. Where is your cow? Where is your cow? If justice has been done, where is your cow? That's how the West operates. Now listen to how Africa operates. Somebody steals your cow. You go to the chief, you report the person to the chief. The chief sends out men to look for the culprit. They get the culprit, they get the exhibit, they bring him to the chief's scroll. He is found guilty, and he is given some work at the chief's place. And after a period of time, he earns himself a cow. You are then called, and you are given that cow. You go home and you say, justice has been done. Your cow is there. So we need to understand that and bring it to business and see how this business can actually succeed and triumph over competitors because of the knowledge that we have of how Africa operates. Let us learn from one another. Let us share knowledge. We do have knowledge capital thieves. Somebody who has been in the company for quite a long time, who has amassed a lot of knowledge, but he does not want to pass it over to others because he fears that they'll be on par with him. Knowledge capital thieves are there. Let's identify them and let us expose them for what they are, because this company does not depend on an individual. It depends on the collective genius of all the people here and all the people outside. The collective genius is what matters. Let's expose knowledge capital thieves. We need a paradigm shift. We need the shift of the mindset. We need to move away from what is old and decaying and align ourselves with what is young and rising. I got involved in politics in 1972, around that period. We belonged to a student body called SASM, South African Students Movement, which was a high school body of SASO, South African Students Organization, which was also an offshoot of the Black People's Convention, PPC. At that time, the thinking was that we must learn to hate a white person. And if one of us had more swearing words for whites, he would easily emerge as a leader. The thinking was that you must battle against all forms of convention. If it is conventional to dress in a particular manner, defy it and dress the opposite way. Put on jeans which are torn. Leave your hair to grow long and don't comb it. Wash it in the morning, but don't comb it because Shaka never had a comb. It was conventional. It was unconventional. Defy parents, defy the church, defy teachers, defy all forms of authority, defy the government. That was the talk of the time and the thinking of the time amongst the black youth. With the march of time, we had to undergo military training, come back as guerrillas. The thinking there was that don't expose yourselves to the police, dress normally, behave normally, go to church, don't say anything against the government because the security police will pick you up. So from time to time, we had to study from our environment so that we can adjust ourselves and survive. So we came back. I remember I had a task to go and place explosives at the main post office in Pretoria. It was in September 1977. I remember after putting them there, as I got out, I found a watchman there, and I saw a poster which was written. It was the poster of the Citizen. It was written, Steve Biko dead. As I got out, I said, Viva. I placed the explosives on time. I was able to succeed to go in there because I had a suit, I had a white tie, I had a white shirt and a tie. And the thinking in the police force was that a guerrilla is a black man who is tall, hefty, pitch black, and ready to shoot at the slightest provocation. They were trapped there. But because we studied that, we were able to improve from there, and we survived because of that. After having been involved in that for quite some time, we got arrested, and we landed on Robben Island. We had warders from Namakwaland who have never seen a black man drive a car of his own. Every time a black man drives a car, it's the bus car. They hated us. We hated them. We fought almost on a daily basis. And somewhere along the way, we said, no, wait, there's something wrong here. What is wrong with these prison warders? If we say we are continually studying our environment, are we actually doing justice to that? Are we actually honest in the whole thing? So we said, no, there's something wrong with us and not with the prison warders. We said, these people are responding to a system which is incorrect. It is not an individual who is incorrect. There is no human being who is born evil. People will become evil somewhere along the way because of the pressures from society. So we said we need to treat these people with love, respect, and dignity. And we began to do that. The warders were not aware of that. They kept on taking us to the sea to do the old type of job. You take out stones, you fill up the truck goes to the other side of the island, it gets rid of the stones in the sea again. The following month, you go to that side, you take out those stones again, fill up the truck, it goes that side, and so forth for the whole year. We were doing that. But we said, let us continue doing this type of job because the body has got to be trained to do an honest day's work. The mind has got to form a new constitution, the constitution of survival, the constitution of being responsible. The mind needs that. So we go out and do that work. We did it with happiness, and the warders were shocked. They said, no, there's a trick somewhere. Let's remove them from here and take them elsewhere. They took us to go and pick up bamboo from the river. Bamboo is a reed that grows in the sea. We picked up bamboo. We did it with happiness. They said, no, the trick is still continuing. Let's take them elsewhere. We went on under the shrubs there, picked up the dry branches, set them alight, and so forth. I remember Terra Lekota used to overdo things. And finally, the warders came to realize that there is something about these people which has changed. And gradually, they moved towards us. Gradually, we met each other halfway. And today, I must tell you, I still want to see the type of friendship which is there between ex-Robben Islanders and their prison their prison warders. Lieutenant Gregory was there when Mandela was inaugurated. We became the best of buddies. We became the best of friends because we studied our environment, and we studied our environment correctly. How far have you gone in studying your own environment for your own business? How far have you gone? You are in a far more comfortable position than we were. But how far have you gone? Southern Life, some people in Southern Life approached me and they said, look here, here's a deal. We give you 10,000 rands or even more. I said, what for? They said, here's the thing, here's the trick. If you can just introduce us to the soldiers in Valmansdal, just take us there, introduce us to Spiwe Nyanda. Okay, Spiwe happens to be my friend. He's the chief of staff. Take us there, please. Any commander you find, please just introduce us. Then from there you go home. You've got 10,000 rands. That's Southern Life. They compete with you. They are taking the market of the whole army of South Africa, which is about 120,000 of standing people. Standing army, they are taking them. How many of you have attempted that in terms of studying your environment, in terms of studying the changing conditions? Because you are in a far more better condition. You drive cars, most probably. We had no cars. When you come to prison, they simply say, those with driver's licenses one side, and those without driver's licenses one side. Of course, we went one side because we had driver's licenses. And they said, there you are. There are wheelbarrows for you. We had to push wheelbarrows. I want to say you are in a far more better position. But how far have you gone in terms of that? Southern Life is sensitive about the mines in South Africa. I used to work for the National Union of Mine Workers, and they said, please take us to one mine. Introduce us to one mine. Then you've got so much for yourself. Now, if they can just capture one mine, it will be very easy for them to capture the better part of mining in South Africa. Where do you stand in terms of your business? Where do you stand? I'm talking about restless people here. I'm talking about people who spend sleepless nights wanting to create and to keep more customers. They are not complacent. People work hard in the beginning stages, but with respect, somewhere along the way, they develop bushy tails and they no longer want to work hard. You've reached your top notch. You've got a cellular, and you are praised in the township. You've got a cellular. You've got a BM3 series, of course. You've reached the top. I would say it is a crime to tell yourself and to convince yourself that you have reached the top. because you've got a cellular phone. It is a crime. Because posterity is coming. We need to build bridges. We need to lay the foundation where our children will come and seek employment in this company and say, my father or my mother worked for this company. And today we enjoy the fruits of this company because my father or my mother was one of the history makers. We are not doing this for ourselves only. We are even doing this for the coming generations. But as of now, you can enjoy the fruits yourselves. I'm talking about each one teach one. Each one teach one. The fact that you are a human being and the fact that you are not mad, it means there is something I can learn from you. There are a million things I can learn from people in this room here. But for me to learn, it means I must humble myself and say, please teach me what you know, which I do not know. In that position, we will be in a better way of understanding even the dynamics in the township. Because in the township, you find formal groups, like in business. But formal groups do not wield that much power. Power is in the hands of informal groups. You find people who are big buddies, and the reason why they are friends is because they all love Orlando Pirates. And if you touch one of them, that group comes together and say, what happened to the Buccaneer? Who touched the Buccaneer? They come together like that. Where do you stand in relation to your business, in relation to the informal groups which exist within the townships? What do you say about all the followers of Orlando Pirates, all the followers of Kaizer Chiefs, all the followers of the NSL and the NPSL? What spade work has been done? Because you are the people who support them. You are the people who go to the stadium every time. But have you touched that market? Are the players still left intact? And after 5-7 years, of course, one of them gets a broken leg and then we forget about him. Where does the insurance, what role can the insurance play in that regard? What role can you play in terms of life cover, the life covers of those people? South Africans are organized, far more better organized than other parts of Africa. But instead of going in and trying our luck, we choose not to. I want to talk to people who are restless. I want to talk to people who are too comfortable. I have a small dog at home, my poodle. This dog barks all day long. It barks at passing cars. It barks at passing people. Anything which passes next to the house, the dog will bark. But every time I open the gates, the dog doesn't go out to fight. It remains within the yard and barks. Which indicates that the yard is the comfort zone of the dog. Every time I open the gate, I am challenging the dog to get to the uncomfort zone and fight. The dog is refusing. It stays inside the yard. It continues barking. Sometimes my dog barks while retreating. You can see the dog is retreating, but it is still barking because it is in a comfort zone. So please try to check yourselves as individuals whether you are not in a comfort zone. And if you're in a comfort zone, it is going to be very difficult for you to move an inch forward because you are too comfortable. It is only when your level of discomfort surpasses that of your comfort that you seriously think of changing, that you seriously think of going out for business. So you need to be restless. You need to be innovative. You need to move out every time. You need, if it comes to a push, you need to be a bore to people because every time you open your mouth, you talk of Metropolitan. You need to be a bore until they call you to order. But people don't do that. They keep quiet about Metropolitan. And once one has taken one too many, it's now that they talk of Metropolitan. And nobody takes them to heart. In prison, what we did was that in a cell, we would The number would depend on what is happening in the country. If there was an uprising in Soweto, we knew that the numbers would increase. Well, but we are about between 18 and 25. We appointed one person who was to be a school principal. And to be a school principal did not depend on your academic achievements, because many boffins are known to be quacks. That depended on your commitment and your efficiency. And then we would appoint a school principal. We would then appoint school teachers in a cell. The person who was in standard 8, we said, is qualified to teach the standard 5s. The one who was in matric was qualified to teach the standard 8. The one who was at varsity, depending on the courses, qualified to teach the matriculants. Each one teach one. I would be a teacher in a history class. But when moving to the next class, the person who was a student in my class, who was a taxi driver outside, would be my teacher, because there is something he knows which I do not know. Those people will teach you why their taxis are called Zolabat and why others are called Merideka. Those people will teach you why their taxis are always written, this taxi can stop anywhere, anyhow, anytime. Those people will teach you as to why their taxis are always in the rush, and they will tell you that the owners of the taxis expect so much per day. Now they have to rush so that they reach the target and go beyond it. And after reaching the target, the money which they make, which is beyond it, they say it is money for the socks. It is money which they hide from the taxi owner. But you can only know that if you humble yourself to learn from those people. Let us humble ourselves, go out, get to the people, and be prepared to learn. Don't just go there as an expert and say, you keep quiet, I know. Like consultants. They borrow your watch to tell you the time. So we need to humble ourselves, go to the people, learn how the people operate, see what the people need, and be in a better position of advancing them. Because by advancing them, we are actually advancing this company, because this company is based in the roots of Africa. And this company has got to be Africanized. It has to understand the norms of Africa. The white Africans need to understand how the whole thing works. Nelson Mandela, okay, around 1978, 79, 80, 81, we would meet in the corridors in prison. You meet him by chance. Okay, he's in the habit of calling people boys. And then he would say, boy, come here. Then you go to him. Boy, are they writing at home? Yes, Matiba, they are writing. In fact, my father wrote last week. And then he said, boy, are they writing at home? Say, Matiba, I said they're writing. I mean, I received a letter from my mother today. Said, boy, are they writing? Ah, but Matiba, they're writing. That's what I've been saying. He said, boy, is your girlfriend writing? Then that's where you get the truth. In fact, Matiba, you don't know, Matiba, I was in detention for 6 months, Matiba, and then, of course, Matiba said, boy, you don't have a girlfriend. Now, wait for me there. He goes to his cell. He brings a photograph of a pretty young girl, and of course the address. He says, go and write. Go and write. You go to your cell, you start writing her a letter. You don't know her from whatever. You start writing her a letter, and then of course the answer comes, the reply comes, it's good news. You want to see him. What this means is that the psychology that he had is that he should not only be concerned about people because he's their political mentor, but he should be concerned about the totality of an individual. That is why Americans are in the habit of saying the whole child goes to school. The whole soccer player missed the ball. The whole principal was seen drunk. By whole, in all instances, what they mean is they talk of an individual, they concern themselves with the intellectual, the intellect, the emotions, and the will of an individual. Now, as you go out to see people, don't be concerned about people who can only bring you money. Be concerned about the entire being of people, and perhaps some of them will come your way. But if you go there to pick and choose as to who you think has money for a life cover, who you think has money for Provident Fund, then you'll be doomed. Because people are psychologists. They will see that and they will relay the message to others. Go there, humble yourself, be of assistance to people. Be involved in the structures in the township. Be it Stockfells. The amount of money which is in Stockfells right now in the hands of black people amounts to millions, no, billions. In Stockfells, where are you? Where are you? Because you need to harness that money. Look at what the Afrikaners did. In 1899, the Afrikaners were involved in war with the English government. In 1902, there was peace. The type of tactic which the English government used was the Scotch Earth policy. Don't only destroy men on the battleground, destroy women and children by putting them in the concentration camps. Destroy the farms, destroy the livestock, destroy everything. And when the Afrikaners emerged from that war, they emerged as a poor people. They were extremely poor. That is when South Africa began to talk of the question of poor whites. And if you read in Afrikaans poetry, you can still get that they were longing for their farms because now, because of poverty, they were forced to go and work in the mines. They hated that. They wanted to go back to their farms. C.A. Langenhoven, the father van Afrikaans, when capturing that situation in a book titled Erbe van ons Vader, he says, ons was vreemdelinge in ons eie land, maar ons het nie net gesit nie, ons het ons moe opgerol en met die harde werk begin. I'm talking about people here who are extremely poor, people who had lost in the war, people who had lost their farms, people who had lost their loved ones, their wives, their children, who were exposed to poverty and natural hazards. What did they do? Because that is one lesson that we have to learn from. They boycotted Indian shops. They boycotted English shops. Young boys and girls were sent in the streets to go and collect tickets and pennies from people. They put that money in one kitty. On the basis of that money, they opened up their own small shop, dingy shops called Inivankels, ons eie. From the money which they got from Inivankels, they were able to open up a burial society called Afbob. And they were proud to say, Almal Frek, behalve ons boere. From the monies which they got from Afbob, they were able to come up with Sanlam. Today, Sanlam is a towering giant in terms of financial institutions internationally. That is what they did. It is no use crying that apartheid did harm to us. What are you doing now? What are you doing now to better yourself? What are you doing now to better your company? What are you doing now for the sake of your kids? The trick is simple. Just humble yourself, go out. Go out, be restless, try to bring as many people as you can to upgrade this company, to upgrade yourselves, to improve the quality of your life and to improve the quality of their lives. I say I would have a problem with a person who is a fat cat. I would have a problem with a person who is enjoying the gravy train of Metropolitan and is satisfied with it. I would have a problem with that person. I won't need that person even as a friend. I need a restless person, as I say. We need to study from the histories of other people and see how best we can improve the histories of the rest of the population, our own histories. I mean, it was a sign of pride in an Afrikaans family to have a picture of 3 doves along the wall, because those 3 doves indicated that they belong to a burial society which is 100% Afrikaner owned. We need to take a journey to Damascus. We need a journey to Damascus. We need that trip to Damascus. We read from the Bible that Saul was going to Damascus to persecute Christians. And somewhere along the way, he was struck by a lightning and he underwent a change of heart and a change of mind. We need that here. We need to take that trip to Damascus. We need to take that journey to Damascus because the majority of us are still in the old growth cave. We are all trapped up here. We are all trapped up here. These are the beginning stages of business, and this is the decline of business. And as of now, the financial records indicate that you are doing well. But I'm not concerned about that. I am concerned about the future 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 10 years from now. Because the problems that we are experiencing in South Africa today were actually determined 40 years back. The problems that you will experience in future are being determined now. It is only now that you have to think seriously and undergo the old order and accept the new order. We need to take this journey to Damascus, and this is the new journey. This is the new journey to Damascus. This is the trip that you have to take. These are the changes that you have to go through. They are painful, no doubt. They are painful. We have to lessen the pain. If you looked at what was happening at the World Trade Center, the country thought of changing when it was actually here. That is why some people, in fear of what was coming, bought 21 loaves of bread, 2 generators, baked beans, and so forth. Because the country was here. Now, you have to think of changing. You have to consider seriously what you mean by success in Daba, which is the theme of your conference. If it is a nice word, fine, take it that way. If it is a nice phrase, fine, take it that way. But if you bring it to me and ask me what I understand by that, I will tell you that Indaba is a word which emanates from Africa, which means that people in a village will come together from time to time to review their position vis-a-vis poverty, vis-a-vis war, vis-a-vis epidemics, vis-a-vis any unknown phenomenon in the village. People would come together to share ideas and to determine the way forward. That's what Indaba means. That's what Indaba means. It means people come together and they involve themselves in a cross-pollination of ideas. People come together not with the purpose of necessarily agreeing because I am the chief. They come there. Each person has a right to speak his lungs out. The togetherness is there, and people will disagree. People will argue. People will debate. But at the end of the day, they have a solution, and they have determined the way forward. That is what Indaba means. Now, you are here for the success in Indaba. I would argue strongly with you if you say you are here to congratulate one another that you are the best on earth. I would argue again if you tell me that you have been so successful that you have decided to come with a big do, call Mark Alex, and so forth, and enjoy. But I would very much agree with you if you say that you are here to try and sharpen the spear. You are here to venture into virgin soil. You are here to temper the steel. You are here to advise one another and to show one another the threat. Because there's a point I've been avoiding to mention. The point I've been avoiding to mention is that your traditional market is in danger. And the reason why I was avoiding to say that, I thought the message was clear on the wall. You are all supposed to see it. Blacks are rising within companies. Okay, it's a wrong way of introducing affirmative action. Because what companies do is, they say we have 5 managers, somebody get us 2 blacks, and then, 3 blacks, and then somebody get us 1 Indian, and then somebody get us 2 colors. So they say we've got affirmative action. But the fact is, blacks are rising. The salary which they earn, according to the survey which was in the Sunday Times, black executives earn 50% more than their white colleagues. That is a market for liberty life. That is a market for liberty life. Where are you? Because that is your traditional market. You are the people who tested the waters. You are the people who suffered the agony of venturing into that forest. You are the people who exposed yourselves to be stabbed and to be called names when you ventured into the black market, the African market. You are the ones who did it. And today, that bread is being taken from your mouths and people are still complacent. That is my problem. That is your market. Your own traditional market. So let us agree. Let us agree that we are seriously going to consider this point. We are going to sit down, share ideas, determine how we will move forward, share knowledge amongst ourselves, involve ourselves in a cross-pollination of ideas, and finally leave this place being determined not only to go out and create customers, but to go out, create customers, keep them, go out and create others. And if we have lost some customers along the way, sit down, check as to how many people you have lost. Give a task to somebody else. Let that person track down all those people and find out why they have stopped doing business with you. Why? We need to have a culture of adding value. We need that culture of adding value. South Africans don't have that culture. South Africans don't have that culture of adding value. We don't know what that is. We don't know what that means to add value. That is one problem with us. Each and every person here needs to be thinking as to how best he can improve his work. He or she can improve his work. You need to be concerned about that almost on a daily basis. My tissues are finished. Can I get some there, please? Never mind. Thanks. We need to be concerned about that. What the country has been doing over a period of years was to take out all the gold in the country, sell it to the Swiss, and the Swiss will add value and convert that to jewelry, and they would bring it back to us at a higher price, and we would buy it. We are extremely good in one thing. There we are good in digging holes. And if anybody doubts, I'll take him to Kimberley. There you will see the biggest man-made hole, thank you, which we think is a tourist attraction. We say that's a tourist attraction. It's great. It's our greatest achievement. We take out all the platinum from the country and we sell it to the Germans. The Germans add value and they convert that to exhaust for cars. We go there and buy exhaust for cars and we say we are great. That is what we have been doing. My argument is that if nature gives you lemons, think of making lemonade. Don't take your lemons to the Japanese and then go to the Japanese to buy lemonade. You've got lemons, make lemonade. We need a culture of adding value. You have been in your job for a period of years. What value have you added? You have been in that position for so many months. What value have you added? We need a situation whereby each person will contribute 2 ideas per month as to how best his job can be improved. Think of the strategy of venturing into your market. Think of the tactics of venturing into your market. Think of the correct theory of venturing into your market and think of correct actions. Because theory without actions is blind. And actions without theory is sterile. You need to be concerned about the value you are adding in this company. If we say we are going to depend on all the heads which are here, it means this company is going to be people-driven because we are not in Europe where they have high levels of technology. We are not in America where they have huge amounts of money. We are in Africa. But the greatest advantage we have of being in Africa is that we have people. And it is on the basis of people that companies are going to move forward. So we need to create a situation whereby each person will contribute 2 ideas per month as to how best his own job can be improved, as to what value we can add. You add value by being in the administration. You add value by being a secretary. You add value by being a human being in a particular place of work. If you are a receptionist, you make it a point that a phone must not ring more than 3 times before you respond to it. Thank you. Thanks. By that, you are adding value. But if you look at government buildings, if you go there, those people think they are customers. You have come to serve them. Try to get an ID, try to register your car, or try to get a passport. They think, here comes this man to serve us, we the customers. They forget that you pay tax, and on the basis of the tax you pay, they get their salary, so you are the customer. We don't know who the customer is. We move over to people in the townships. We move over to people in different sectors of life. We go there and we become arrogant. You won't win people by being arrogant. You always have to be humble. People need to look at you and say, we want to be like that person because he's very humble. And because of his humbleness, he's able to amass a lot of respect and a lot of knowledge. By that way, we shall be in a better position of building this company and building ourselves. Fine, I've been talking like a priest. Can we perhaps have some interaction? Can I hear what question you have to say, what comments you have to say, whatever you want to say against the background of what has been said here? You want to get to the army. Here are people who could have long gone to the army. 90% of all the black people who are here know somebody who is in MK and who is in the army. Now they should answer, did they talk to that person to take them to the army so that the whole army falls under Metropolitan? What has been done about knowing somebody who is in MK? What has been done about knowing somebody who's in the trade unions? Okay, fine, you've gone very far with NACTU as a federation body. But COSATU has got a membership of 1.5 million of unionized people paid up membership. That's COSATU, 1.5 million people. Where do you stand as Metropolitan in relation to that 1.5? I'm talking about organized people, they are there. I'm talking about their office, COSATU is there. They are ready to listen. They want to assist their followers. Where are you, the torch bearers, to assist those people? I'm talking about 1.5, a market of 1.5. Hence I say, people, you have to be restless. People, you need to get nightmares. You have to dream as to how best you can get customers at all times. You don't have to be surprised when I tell you that COSATU has got 1.5 unionized members. You are supposed to have known that beforehand. Your people, those who report to you, who work on the ground, need to be motivated. They need to be motivated. As a manager, you need to sit down with those people. See to it that they're motivated. Ask them one by one how many children they have. What problems are they experiencing at home? What do they think about their company? Do they love their company? What frustrations are they experiencing in this company? How long do they think they'll be with this company? So that by the time that person goes out to go and do his work, he's fully motivated. Let's have a look at this example of motivated people. I will use my own figures. Let's look at the Mandela factor. Workers in a car industry decided to produce a Mercedes-Benz for Nelson Mandela. I'll give my own figures. They took 8 days to make that Mercedes-Benz, and that Mercedes had 11 faults. They were compared to the Germans with high technology and high level of education. The Germans take 11 days, they take 12 days, and the car has 18 faults. And when those workers work for their company on daily basis, they take 18 days, and the car has 33 faults. This is when they work for their company. They take this number of days. But after having taken a decision on their own, they took this number of days. There must be a lesson to learn from that. There we see motivation. But how motivated are you? How motivated are people who report to you? How motivated are they? Because we want them to come to this level. In one company, here in could be Langlaagte, Mayfair Langlaagte, somewhere there. The workers, management, in fact, set out the target for toffee. They produce chocolate. Management said, you have to produce 375 tons of toffee. That is your target. The workers said, no, that is too much. We won't be able to reach that target. Management said, okay, set your own target. Let's see. They said, we can rather reach 340 tons. Management said, fine. You reach 340, you'll get your, your incentive bonus. They went out to work and they reached 750 tons. They reached 750 tons. They said they can't reach 375. It's too high. And they set their own target at 340. When management said, okay, fine, let's go, they reached 750. The trick there is that there is ownership. They were involved in the discussions. There is ownership of the thing. Their ideas were tapped on. They feel that they're part and parcel of the decision making. Do people who report to you feel the same? Or is there a cold war between those who report to you and you? Is there a cold war? Because as a company, you have to live as an extended family. As a company, you need to be aware that each and every department constitutes a customer. You have your own internal customers, and the amount of work you give over to them, you give it to them as a customer, because the customer is a king. But unusually, usually you find that there's a cold war between one department and the other. You find that there's a cold war between people who report to you and you because you have become too autocratic. Every time somebody comes with a new idea, you said, 10 years back, so-and-so said the same, and he got fired. We have closed our minds. We don't want new ideas. We want to remain in the old order. We want to align ourselves with what is old and decaying. And we fear to align ourselves with what is young and rising. This is what is old and decaying. This is what is young and rising. And to get something which is young and rising, you have to open up your head. You have to listen to criticism. You have to absorb criticism. You have to know that you are involved in a teaching, learning environment. Each one, teach one. Each one, teach one is the trick. Fine, let me then interact with you. Let's hear what people have to say. I will be very angry and I will force people to talk at gunpoint. Usually what happens when I run causes is that the blacks will keep quiet and allow the whites to talk. When I say, okay, let's take a 5-minute leg stretch, they go outside and they group together immediately and I hear them talking. Then I go and join them, they talk. I say, why can't you come with those ideas inside there? They say, no, we don't want them to know how we are thinking. I say, who is them? They say, no, but you know them. We won't go anywhere. We won't go anywhere. We won't go anywhere. And we will only realize when our competitors have taken this market that we failed. You will remain behind to write books about the past history of metropolitan life. You will write books because you will be history. We need to see ourselves here as an extended family. Yesterday I looked at people there, they look like one big happy family. But unfortunately, I know that is going to be short-lived. Let us move and extend the olive branch towards one another. I qualify best to say I must be bitter about whites or about the government. I think I qualify best in terms of my track record. But I don't have an ounce of bitterness in me. If I had an ounce of bitterness, you would have long picked that up. I don't have that ounce. Because the most important thing is to build companies in South Africa. It is to build this country. It is to build ourselves for the sake of ourselves and for the sake of our children. I would hate to see my little boy being a taka smoker, being a victim of mandrakes. But that can only be avoided if we improve ourselves, because that will improve education, that will improve the quality of lives of people in this country. So that is why we have a reason to work hard. The Germans say, more sweat, less blood. If you work hard and sweat a lot, there'll be less blood that you lose because there'll be very few wars and battles to fight. Fine, let's interact. I touched on that in the sense that I said, if you see a group of people who you perceive to be bad, you don't have to wait for them to change. You have to battle to change them. I said we were able to change the prison warders who were extremely hostile to us. But by being good, by treating them with dignity and respect, they came to see that no, but it seems there's an element of humanity in these people, and they changed gradually. We have a problem with racism in this country. Usually, when people talk of racism, they think of whites. I will argue, because blacks are equally racist. We have racism between blacks and coloreds. We have racism between coloreds and Indians and coloreds and blacks. And we have racism between white and Indian, white and colored, white and black. We have racism. All of us are guilty of it. If we were not guilty of it, we would not have had words like bur, like kuli, like Busman, like Kafir. Each one of us makes use of those words in his own little privacy. And we have perceptions, not facts, but perceptions. And we are victims of those perceptions because perceptions tend to have far more impact, far more power than facts. Here is one perception. Indians are tricky. Indians are tricky. It's a perception which is there in the minds of people. By the time a person comes to talk to with an Indian, he says, I must be on my guard. These are tricky. And if you try to argue and say, no, but Indians are not tricky, they say, where's Abdul Bamji? You say, okay, he's in prison. They say, there you are. Indians are tricky. On the basis of those perceptions, it means blacks won't be able to venture into the Indian market. It means whites won't be able to venture into the Indian market. It means colors won't be able to venture there because the perception is that those people are too tricky. I mustn't even go next to them. That injures business. Colors are drunkards. Colors are drunkards. If you have to employ a colored, you say, hey, will he come to work on Monday morning? Because he's a drunkard. Will he come to work? That is the perception that we have. We can't even venture into the colored market. You say, oh no, month end they're going to spend all the money. They'll drink it and then from there they won't be able to afford their insurances. Let me forget about them. It's a perception, not a fact. You get drunkards amongst whites, you get drunkards amongst blacks, you get drunkards amongst Indians, you get drunkards amongst colors. Blacks are thieves and they're lazy. That is why whenever you see a group of black laborers working, there will always be some gentlemen there, gray shoes, gray long socks, a gray safari, and a comb. He's checking on them. He's checking on them. After every 5 minutes, he takes out the comb. He must wash them because they're lazy. He is doing nothing for the whole day except to comb his hair. And then others are lazy. Those who are working are lazy. He is not lazy. Those are perceptions. Those are the perceptions that we have. Whites are rich. Whites are rich. That is the thinking in the townships. So we have a generation of the people who are called the lost generation, the twilight kids, 14 years old. They specialize in breaking in white houses. They go for TV, they go for video, they go for jewelry, they go for a gun if there's one, and then of course, they go for what? TV, video. So you know too. All those things happen because of the perception that whites are rich. You get rich whites, you get middle of the road whites, you get poor whites. Exactly as you get rich blacks, middle of the road, and so forth. The same applies to colors, the same applies to Indians. But the perception is that whites are rich. And on that perception, we act. It's far more powerful than a fact. That is one of our drawbacks. One of our serious drawbacks. True, we have that history of racism. Your company is upmarket. You must see what is happening outside there. You find a company has thrown a party like you had last night. But blacks would be crowded there along that wall. Whites would be this side where all the drinks and the food is. And then there would be a no man's land in between there. There would be a Rubicon. And then whites would be eating and drinking this side and sharing racist jokes. After one has taken one too many, he remembers his favorite black. And then he takes 2 cans of Castle. And then he does this. Phineas. Phineas would come rushing. Then he says, don't get drunk. Phineas was given 2 cans of castle after his boss had taken 10. But Phineas must not get drunk. And then, of course, he comes back. He takes 8 more. Then he remembers Phineas on the 18th can of castle. He takes 2 more. He calls Phineas again. Phineas, ek het gesê jy moet nie dronk word nie. What he does not know is that Phineas is a patron in one of the shebeens. When Phineas gets there, he buys himself a dozen. And when you give Phineas those 2, other blacks are watching, and they say Phineas is a blue-eyed boy. And the team spirit which used to exist, which Phineas had built, gets destroyed. And the man who destroyed the spirit is the one who kept on calling Phineas with those 2 cans. At all times, we need to be conscious as to how we treat one another, how we refer to one another. I sat there this morning. A number of people were passing. They looked at me. My face was unfamiliar. They had to pass. They didn't greet me. As I would say, 90% of those who passed didn't greet me. You are 91. They didn't. The perception I will gain of Metropolitan is that I met the better part of the managers of Metropolitan, and this is how they behave. They were negative to me. Why must I take my money there? The image I got is that, okay, they don't know my face, they don't care for my face because they have not come here to make money. They've come here to celebrate and to discuss. I am there as the lost soul. They don't have to care for me. They'll think of me when they get out of this place, find me in some place, perhaps as a manager of some company. There I'll be given serious thought. But as of now, forget about him. I was watching them. Even last night, I moved from corner to corner, checked the people there, just kept quiet. I went to one old man. I asked him, where do you come from? He said, I come from Port Elizabeth. Can you please offer me a cigarette? He said, I don't smoke. I said, okay. Now what next should I say? Because I couldn't draw any discussion from him. And the next thing he did was to take his cup of tea and say, I'll see you. Disappear. We need to reach out every time of the day. There is no special place where you can make business. There are no special conditions under which you can make business. It is not predetermined as to where you'll make business. You make business anywhere in this world, any time of the day. Every time you see a human being, think Metropolitan. That is how restless you must be. Okay, I said let us interact. Let's give others a chance. Okay, continue. That your market is safe. When do we say a market is safe? When do we draw that conclusion that the market is safe? You can draw that conclusion when you are in a coffin, ready to be buried. Then you can draw that conclusion. Hence I say, people should at all times be thinking of best ways of bringing people within Metropolitan. 80% of your people are black. 80% of them are black. There are how many millions of blacks in this country? There are how many black structures which have been formed? You can go to each and every company. You'll find some form of structure which is in place. This means that a manager himself needs to go out and get customers. A manager himself needs to bring his team, let them determine as to how they're going to go about it and get customers. It is not enough. Look at the Japanese managers and directors. They go to work by train. They go to work by train. You find them in jeans. You can't even tell the difference between a manager and a worker. The most important thing is the customer, not the beauty of the manager, not how well dressed the manager is. The most important thing, the person to serve, is the customer. That is why you find us knowing the products of the Japanese without knowing the Prime Minister of Japan. We don't know the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is not important. The product is important. Business is important. That is what you need to do. Put business at the top. Put customers at the top. People think when their manager is happy, they've achieved their greatness. You haven't. The purpose is not to satisfy the manager. The purpose is to satisfy the customer, and the manager consequently will be happy. Okay, let's hear what other people have to say. Can we get a question from, okay. To summarize that in a word, I said in the very beginning that we need to go out and get customers, but keep them and go out to get more customers. Make it the point that you keep customers. I said later on that if you lose customers, send out some people to go to those customers and find out why they're no longer doing business with you. Then that will make it possible for you to be involved in very serious introspection. Then you'll be able to sit down and criticize yourselves, criticize how you function. Because what happens with business, with insurance people is that once you have signed the papers, they disappear. They disappear from you. You'll never see them again because you have signed. Whereas a person can come in, share a bottle of beer with you, and ask you how things are going. Perhaps you want to upgrade your insurance, your life cover. Perhaps you want to tell him something else, but he's nowhere because he fears that if he can come, you may change your mind. So let us go out, create customers, keep them, and continue creating customers. Are you from Namibia? Now, in Namibia, you touch a person like Ben Ulenga. You know Ben Ulenga? Ben Ulenga was the General Secretary of the Namibian Mine Workers Union. Right now, he is the Deputy Secretary. That is, he's the Deputy Minister of Labor. Now, Ben has got lots of influence in the mines. Ben spent some time on Robben Island and some time in exile. Now, you go to Ben, you talk metropolitan life, you've got the unions. Easy. Talk to Ben, you've got the unions. That's how restless you should be. You go to Toivo Chatoivo and Dimba. You talk to Toivo. He's got a good name in the unions. He's got a good name in the country. You talk to him about metropolitan. Let him say no. I don't say he'll agree. Let him say no. But some months along the way, he'll say, but I think that man was talking sense. Where can I find him? He'll look for you. And metropolitan will get more and more established. Easy does it. In fact, those people are very sensitive about gifts. Those people are very sensitive about gifts. They need, in fact, they even go to the extent of saying that it is better to deal with an Afrikaner. Because an Afrikaner will tell you where he stands in relation to you. If you come with nonsense to an Afrikaner, he will tell you kak story. He's not going to waste time with you. So you know where you stand with that man. And if you say something sensible, to an Afrikaner, he will say, that lake for Major Kenjo story. Then you know you are on the same footing with him. Now, those people are very sensitive about bribery. They need a person who will go there with an open heart and an open mind and be brutally frank and brutally honest. You'll see that. How did you approach NACTU? Did you have a BMW 3 Series? Let us use the same tactic. So it will be a terrible perception to say that you have to buy me a house of 850,000 rands to get business in arts and culture. It will be very wrong because that will boomerang before long. The newspapers will publish that. Okay, let's come to your hand. I would say the problem is acute. The problem is very acute and it's getting chronic about us here. In some companies where you find laborers, if you see a black man doing something wrong in the company, either breaking a machine, stealing, sabotaging progress, and you happen to be black, and you see him doing that, the logic is that you must give a blind eye or you must go and assist him. You don't have to stop him. The rationale is that assist him. If you can't assist him, give a blind eye or go out and praise him for that. The person who steals more than others in a company gets praised. There are beautiful words. It's a clever, it's a moho, it's a clever, a spin body tone, is D, is die. He gets praised. Because if you can dare try to stop that person, the common answer will be, don't tell me about white man's property. Because the company is seen to be a white man's company. We as blacks who go there as the drawers of water and the hewers of wood. People feel terribly alienated in business. So the them and us is extremely high. And then the other thing is how business has been operating over a period of years. Business has been very hostile, particularly to blacks. I mean, when do people get information in the company? People get information in the company when the company is doing bad. But when the company is doing good, everybody keeps troop still. It's only when business is doing bad. And by the time you keep troop still, people are checking the type of company cars people are driving. They say when that one came to this company, he was driving a Volkswagen Beetle. Now he's driving a Jetta. And we are told there's no money. Where does the money for the Jetta come from? So they will analyze it from their own underprivileged situation. And the them and us will grow stronger and stronger. I must say the problem is acute in this country. And we need some painstaking efforts to bring that to an end. All of us. This cannot be done by managers only. It cannot be done by employees only. All of us need to put our own shoulders on the wheel. But for us to do that, we need to understand from one another as to what the problems are. What are the real problems? What is the real situation? How can we best stop this from taking place? And we can only do that if we are humble enough to listen to one another. To conclude my talk for today, I don't have to keep you there listening to a priest. I would say that let us go out as changed people. Let us go out as determined people. Let us go out as foot soldiers, ready to change, to turn this company upside down, ready to bring a revolution within this company, ready to go out and venture into the unknown, ready to plow the virgin soil. Let us go out. And when I'm saying this, I don't have illusions that all the people here will believe me. I know there are people who won't believe me. But because change is not brought by the majority, change is always brought by the creative minority. It becomes important then for you to be part and parcel of the creative minority and bring about changes in this company. The first man to see a locomotive, those big trains, he looked at it and he said, this thing is so big that it won't move. And when it moved, he said, it won't stop. You will always have such people who will come out with this type of talk. Thank you very much. Thank you.